and gentlemen, and we return once more.
As here comes Gonzaga, the Edwards leading the trainees.
Around the outside, but he's done it before. He's late at the brakes into the Scary. He gets it stopped in time and he takes that.
and gentlemen, and we return once more.
As here comes Gonzaga, you see Edwards leading the trainees.
Around the outside, but he's done it before. He's late in the race into the Scary. He gets it stopped in time, and he takes that.
Good evening and welcome to the Radical Race Series Battle of the Radicals. It is back for a second season of 2026. We begin at the Mugello circuit in Tuscany, Italy. I am Tom Cairns in the commentary position with June Cunningham, who will be with us for not only one but two races. We've got the sprint race to begin with. That'll be 9 laps long, and the feature race, which will be 14 laps long, where the bigger chunk of points gets given out. Let's have a look at the calendar for the season ahead. We return to 12 rounds. It was 10 last season, but we are back to the usual 12. And Mugello, we begin at, and then we go to Suzuka. And it's to the Sonoma Raceway circuit in the USA. Then it's off to Spa on the Grand Prix layout, followed by VIR on the 16th of April. And then we reach the halfway point at Brands Hatch on the Grand Prix configuration. Then to Hungaroring in Hungary, followed by Laguna Seca on the full course of that. Then it's off to Silverstone on the Grand Prix layout. And then the first of 3 rounds that close out the season is at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, Canada. Then it's off to the Nordschleife on the 28th of May. And then the final round of the season will be on the 4th of June in Adelaide, Australia. Let's bring Jim Cunningham into the booth and get a word from him on how he thinks the season is going to go. Jim, Alexander Schutzko goes into this as the reigning SR8 champion and Simon Edwards as the reigning SR10 champion. Will they retain their crowns this season?
I tell you, you would have to say it's a good chance. A lot's going to depend on who shows up week in and week out. At the current moment, looking here, I don't see any of the Schuster brothers here tonight. So I don't know if that's just a 1-week thing or if they are doing something else this season. Or so hard to say at this point. But we've got some new faces in the field, so I can't wait to see what we've got. I just through word of mouth, I heard that some of these new guys are pretty fast, so I'm dying to see.
Yeah, we've got a ton of new drivers joining the fray this season, some of which are Portuguese as well. We've got Felix Samos, who is in part of the Vortex Portugal Motorsport squad, Joel Lemau, Nelson Moreira, and of course we've got the usual suspects of Patricio Gomez and George Gonzaga, who were around last season. We've also got a Swiss driver in the field called Emmanuel Mandika. He's back in the mix. James Barry is back full-time this season. He was out of a lot of last season, but he is back. Dominic Pavera is in. I don't know if that's a man or a woman, just so that you know, because I know Dominic can sometimes be a woman's name. But if that can be clarified in the live chat, that'd be greatly appreciated, please. And I think that's about that in terms of the newcomers. So we've got quite a few faces. I think Jamie Bird is back. He could see he didn't race last season, but we've also got a Norwegian driver called Ollie Gullikson. He's given the Battle of the Radicals a go in Season 2 of 2026. So a lot to look forward to this season. We've got 18 drivers joining the fray. Stefan Millis didn't take part in practice, but he has joined in time for qualifying.
Yeah, I tell you, and I was just looking at this schedule. I hadn't had a chance to load it into the graphics yet when you went through it, but I tell you what, they've got some interesting venues on here this season. I quite like it, to be honest with you. I love the fact that they're going to Laguna Seca. That course should fit these cars great. Adelaide Street Circuit, big fan of that place. Yes, this is just starting the second season that it's been on iRacing. Fantastic circuit. And some tough circuits. VIR, that can be a brutal place. Yeah, I'm at Suzuka coming up here next week. Mugello, I love Mugello. A lot of people are not a fan of this track. I love this place.
Well, the only thing I would say with Mugello is that there's one designated overtaking spot, and that's over at Turn 1, otherwise known as San Donato. And it's the winding sections on the way to Arrabbiata before you head through the final section of the course. This circuit, located in Italy, in Tuscany, as I've already mentioned, and the former home of the Tuscan Grand Prix in 2020 as part of its revamped calendar of Formula 1 that year, with it being COVID back then. But of course, this circuit is 5.2 kilometres long, 3.2 miles if you prefer, 15 corners, and the race lap record is set by Lewis Hamilton in his Mercedes W11 with a 1 minute 18.8. Looking at the times in qualifying at the moment, James Barry's just gone to the top of the order ahead of his SR10 counterpart, Simon Edwards, who will be looking to retain his crown this season. And it's Heinz Braun in P3 and Sally Wrighton giving the Radical SR10 another go in this series in 4th position. Felix Simoes is at the top of the pile in the SR8. As you've already mentioned, Jim, Christian or Alex Schusker, neither of them are around this evening, so we'll hope to see them back in the coming weeks. There are drop scores involved in this championship, and I think it's up to 3 that are that get dropped. So it's the drivers' best 9-round scores that are applied to their final championship total. For those of you who are new to this series, there are 2 different point systems. I say there's 2 different ones. I think they are the same, actually, thinking of it. 40 points for the race win. It's 39 for second, 38 for third place. It's a point difference for every position downwards from there. There is a point on offer for the driver that ends up on pole position. So at the moment, that's James Barry, who is on professional pole there. There's a point on offer for the fast lap for both sprint and feature. A point for the most laps led in both the races. And you can also get a point for finishing without any incidents to your name during the course of either of the races. So that you could basically get a total of 44 points in one race or something like that, or 43 if you exclude the pole position. 43 again in the feature, and of course the point for pole position. So you could come away, Jim, with a maximum of 87 points in one round.
Wow, yeah, that's so you can really, you can, with the drop rounds, you could really have some guys pop in and do some damage if they won some races. There's that one particular point that I would never get, and that's the 0 incident point. There's 0 chance that I would ever earn that. But no, I think I think we the way they've set this up, I love this series. We were talking about it right before we went on the air. One of my favorites. I just love the whole concept of this, and I love this radical community.
Yeah, of course
It's great to see all these new names. It's great to see all these new names too, and a lot of new drivers here. If we get some of the guys back from last season, we're going to have some 25, 30 car fields.
Let's hope so. And there are some awards at the end of the season. There's, of course, the Drivers' Champion for each class. There's the Team's Champion to go with that. There's the Rookie of the Year, the Fair Play Award. So you go with it. The Fair Play Award, in case you want it, is recognising outstanding sportsmanship and clean racing. And Driver of the Day, which happens every round, is determined by the community vote on the Radical Race Series Discord. So there's all of that to offer. So even if the going gets tough for the drivers, if they put in the effort, then there is still a chance they could come away with some consolation at the end of the night. Now, in terms of the weather, well, it's dynamic realistic weather applied for each round. The track state is random, generated by iRacing, and we don't need to go through the practice, qualifying and race times. I'm sure you all know what that is. Incidents. Now, the standard limit is 15 incidents, which will give you a drive-through. Every additional is a further drive-through penalty. That's a further 5 incidents after that. Fast repairs, you can have 1 for each race. Car setups is open setups. Community sharing encouraged via Garage 61 and Discord. Qualifying has ended, and so we can have a look at the grid for the first of 2 races here with the sprint lining up first. James Berry on pole ahead of Simon Edwards, with Sally Wrighton in 3rd position ahead of Heinz Braun on row number 2. On row number 3, we've got George Gonzaga and Felix Simoes. And on the 4th row, we've got the Brazilian Bruno Vitorino with Jamie Bird for company. Rounding out the top 10 are Ollie Gullickson and Mike Bouton, with the 2 Portuguese drivers Nelson Moreira and João Lima on row number 6. Robert Nobles and Patricia Gomez on row number 7, followed by Phil Glover and Dominique Pafera. And on the 9th and final row of the grid, we've got Emmanuel Mandika and Stefan Mellis.
All right, we made it, at least for the first one.
And James Barry will be looking to get his season up and running. He wasn't around for a lot of last season, but he is hoping to be in for a consistent season. I think he does it normally every other season when he's around to do a whole campaign, isn't he?
Yeah, well, when he does do a full campaign, he's obviously fast. There he is. Okay, jump back in there. Yeah, if he stays around for a full season, that's going to be big fun because he's fast and he's fun to watch drive, and it just throws a lot of competition up there. It sure does seem like there's one dominant car here in qualifying so far today.
Yep, I'm just waiting on 2 more drivers to get onto the grid. Ollie Gullickson, who will be slotted into his position in 9th, and Stefan Miller's down at the back in 18th. Let's see if they can make their way up the order. When the lights do appear, they've got around about 7 seconds to go before the lights do come on. If they're not on in time, they'll have to start the race from the pit lane. But there we see James Berry on pole position, ahead of Simon Edwards. And the first race of the second season of the Radical Race Series, Battle of the Radicals, is about to begin. Lights are on. Lights off, it's go, and James Barry gets off to a superb start. Sally Reitinen even better as he makes his way clear ahead of Simon Edwards before they get to San Donato. And they're all tucking into the slipstream to make them use of the toe down towards the right-hander, which is a 180-degree turn up the hill. And it's James Barry who takes over the leadership ahead of Sally Reitinen. It's Simon Edwards in 3rd place. Heinz Braun making up the top 4 ahead of George Gonzaga. Felix Samos is the leader at the moment in the SR8s, followed by Bruno Fitzgerino and Jamie Bird. And then we've got Mike Bousson, Ollie Gullickson and Nelson Moreira in 9th, 10th and 11th. I think everyone got through the first corner safely. Stefan Millis has not started the race though, Jim.
Yeah, it looks like we had an issue with Yao Lima. I'm still waiting to see what that is. When we get a chance, I'll pull it up. But he is apparently in the pits and I think he towed to the pits, so that's probably not good.
We'll get more on that in a moment. But there we see Mike Bousson attacking Jamie Bird, his fellow SR8 rival, as he goes wide. Does Bird
spinning?
Yeah, he's going to be spinning around there, Jamie Bird. Luckily, no one else is involved, so Jamie Bird gets back on the circuit, and that could have been an early bar for him as far as Mugello is concerned for the Brit, but nevertheless no one else was involved, and so they can carry on as they are. Stefan Mellis still hasn't got going, so he is effectively out this one. Lima has ended up in the wars, and we may be able to have a look to see what he got up to.
Let's see what happened to him here. Looks like he had speed up here.
So this is over at turn 2 at Loco. Well, he slammed on the brakes and he just came too close, and drivers behind got involved in that.
It looked like he caught some of that curbing there, and then it threw the car kind of out of whack. And if you'll notice here, he catches some curbs and he starts bouncing, and then and unfortunately, I don't know who that was that piled into him, but that's maybe Gomez, possibly. Well,
he put too much brake pressure, I think, which put him onto the curb, and he just couldn't stop the car in time. So that's the way I look at it anyway.
That's probably correct.
We are on the second lap, and Barry is pulling clear. Now, for your information, it's the top 10 finishes that get reversed at the end of race number 1. The man in 10th place right now is Nelson Moreira. Patricio Gomez has come into the pits now with damage. I think he ended up colliding with Zhao Lima on that opening lap, and he's not returned back to the circuit, so I think that could well be race wrong.
Yeah, it would appear that way, that was the other car involved. But it was a pretty good hit, so I'm not surprised to see him in the pits.
Well, he's come back out on the circuit now, so at least he can use this to get some mileage under his belt in time for race number 2. I think the consolation for him is that it's the sprint race and not the feature, so it's less laps for him to endure. A yellow flag slowdown for Dominique Pavera, who will be needing to get that off sooner rather than later. And just to remind you, Steve Webb isn't around this evening. He's been feeling unwell, so get well soon, Steve, and we'll see you back for the next round of the championship, which will be just getting the schedule up over at my
Suzuka.
end. Is that Suzuka? You're absolutely right. Yeah. So I think it's a track where he'll enjoy racing out very much. Will Steve?
I love Suzuka. Very technical track. Great track.
And that is Heinz Braun right on board with, having a go at Simon Edwards at San Donato, but no way through at the moment. Nobles has got by Pavera for 13th place. And João Lima has got back out of the pits now, albeit a lap down on the leaders. The next driver he'll be chasing will be Patricia Gomez. And there is Pavera running in 14th on the lead lap behind Robert Nobles. Phil Glover, who had a consistent season in the last campaign, is up in P12 behind Jamie Bird as they come through the winding left and right before heading through down towards Arrabbiata. That's one of the back markers. I think that's Lima who's getting out of the way.
That's Lima.
So there goes Phil Glover. Then there we look at Nelson Moreira and Jamie Bird in 10th and 11th through Arrabbiata 2. This is where Jamie Bird ran wide earlier, nearly dropped it. And he gets through safe and sound this time as they come out of through the right-hander that is known as Scarpiera.
I tell you what, he did a good job saving that car. He could have easily tore that thing up, and he did a good job keeping it off the wall there.
He's gone through on Moreira. Now, for your, well, just so that you know, with these SR8s and SR10s, the SR8s are quicker in the corners, but not so quick on the straights compared to the SR10s, which are quicker down the straights, but not as quick in the corners. And that's why Jamie Bird was able to pull off that move on Nelson Moreira that time around. Although they are in the same machine as each other, those two. So that was a little bit, that was a wide moment for Moreira in the first hairpin of Corintao, and he locked up at Pachin before they went onto the pit straight.
Yeah, we see Simon here starting to close in on Heinz Braun. I mean, on Sully Reitinen. Simon, I won't say he got off to a little slow start, but he was, just taking it easy, probably warming his tires up for the first lap or so. And he's starting to move.
Well, Sully Reitinen, I've noticed he's had a change of livery since the last time I've seen him. So he's now running in P2, just 1 second behind James Barry, who's continuing to dominate this one. Bruno Vitorino has passed Felix Simoes on this lap. He's up in P6. So we've got the top 6 all monopolised by SR10s.
Yeah, I think that this track was probably hard to get the balance correct. Not that it matters because they're individual championships, but we do like to see them, and they do like to see them race, together where they're passing each other and back and forth and stuff like that. But apparently this track has just been, big slide there and lock up from Vitorino. That's going to put Simoes all over him. S'mores. Got campfires in my brain, apparently.
Well, that is Vitorino who's holding up Simoes and Buisson. Buisson's very much involved in the fight here after a promising start. He's running in 8th position and he's now into the slipstream of Simoes, who'll want to make the most of the tow from Bruno Vitorino. I'm actually surprised that the SR10 isn't as quick down that straight as what it should be, and that's all that Simoes needs to go ahead.
Yeah, that's it's actually, it's kind of strange, the balance on the cars today. I feel like I would love to get Simon's offering on this after the race, because he's obviously the main person who participates in the balance stuff. I know there are several of the guys that do, but it'd be interesting to hear his take on how hard it was to balance these cars this week, because it's there's a skill in that's I think lost on a lot of people. It's probably a lot harder to do than we think it is.
And there we see Mike Buisson behind Bruno Vitorino, who had been passed by Simoes at the end of the pit straight. And Buisson, he'll be very happy sitting in second place in the SR8 class. I mean, there are individual championships up for grabs. It's not just the overall positioning that matters. But Buisson, he's feeling rather ambitious, actually, after his heroics in another championship earlier in the week.
Yeah, well, another one we broadcast here on the channel. So Yeah, it's it's an SR8 championship solely, and he won 2 out of the 3 races this week, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
good
Motorsport
run
Park.
Yeah, he did a good job. Mike's always fun when he's feeling it, you know.
Well, there is Simon Edwards
Yep.
sailing on by Sally Ryton. That wasn't even a contest. And it looks like Braun is also in a tussle with
George.
Gonzaga. It's Gonzaga, isn't it? So Gonzaga on the attack with Heinz Braun. Now, Gonzaga's been rather helpful in getting this series up and running, didn't he? Because we spoke to him about it at the back end of the previous campaign, didn't we?
No, yeah, not really helpful. I mean, he was pretty much the guy that took over and has marketed it well and attracted a lot of drivers. Obviously, he's from Portugal, and we've gotten some great Portuguese drivers coming into the series too. But yeah, fantastic effort by George to bring this series back to life. It had dwindled down, and when he combined the 2 cars together, and with the work of Simon and those other guys, done a fantastic job. I mean, we got 18 cars here today, and we know we're missing a couple of the big ones, you know. So.
Well, we're still treated to a fair race here in
very much.
6 out of 9. And Gonzaga is on the tail of Braun for 4th place. The man sitting in 10th position, which would give him reverse repole. That's Jamie Bird. So he will occupy that. I don't know if we'll want to go for it on Ollie Goddardson. What you got to think is it's only a point difference between finishing, well, if each finishing position, if I can get the words out. So Bird will probably be thinking the long game at the moment for the feature race.
Words are hard sometimes. I mean, I think he would take that position without, you know, as long as he's still in the front row. I think he would be okay with doing that. You know, so that may be. I don't think he would want to move up and get off the front row. But as we see here, we're looking at James Barry. He has kind of pulled away. Now Simon has gotten past Solly Wrighton a lap or so ago, so we'll see if he starts to close that gap up a little bit. Looks like this battle here is heating up as well.
And there we see Gonzaga behind Heinz Braun for position. Down through Casanova and Savelli. And it's Arrabbiata 1 and 2, which they'll be heading through, which can be quite notorious. We have seen overtakes being done in like single seaters, but I think in the Radical SRX they're just too quick going through here to even think about pulling off overtakes. Turn 1 is where the overtakes are going to be done at, but having said that, we've seen it over in Corintau and over at Bachin where passes have been done. Mandika gets by Pavera for 14th position, so at least Mandika making a move on his debut.
Yeah, I find I'm horrible with corner names, as you know. The one you were just talking about that they had just run through there, that to me is the toughest corner on the track. It's kind of notorious for slinging you out wide and off track there, and it is to me it's the toughest corner on the track, and I think it's probably a bit underrated. I don't think people look at it as being that tough, but it sure is. At least it's my struggle anyway.
2 laps to go in race number 1. And I will say, you know, around this racetrack, it is very, very hard to keep the flow going because the slowest corner on the circuit is most likely this one, San Donato, because it's basically where the speed trap is, and you're having to slam on the brakes and make sure you get through the apex. I wouldn't say tight on the apex because you can go a little bit wide if you need to, because you're basically going to go onto the racing line to be in preparation for turn number 2. And it's one of those racetracks where you don't need to be exactly tight to the inside all the time. Jamie Bird has passed Ollie Gullickson, so he feels the extra championship point is more necessary to him. I mean, I don't know who for certain has got incidents to their names. If you can look on the timing tower, that might give me a clue as to who has incidents and who hasn't.
It's not very accurate. Unfortunately, our software does not register those correctly. I can pull them up and show you, but you got to take it with a grain of salt. Typically, if it shows they have something, then they probably do, but it will also show none, and they may have some.
But We'll see soon enough anyway. Not that it means a great deal. I mean, it's only a championship point for each driver, whereas there's a bigger chunk of points
But
up
I
for
mean,
grabs in
those
race championship position.
those few points, probably do add up as the as the day goes on, so to speak. So that shows their kind of some estimation of I wouldn't go by the number. Like if it says they've got 7, they may have 10. But typically, if it shows them having one, obviously Jamie Bird's got 5, which is not surprising because of that incident he had where he went off track, and I believe there might have been some contact in that too, if I remember right. But we are on the final lap here. This thing has flown by.
Yeah, well, we're on the last side. James Barry on his way to picking up the first win of the season. 2.5 seconds clear over the reigning SR10 champion Simon Edwards, and it's Sally Reitinen who will be bagging a podium on his return. And it looks like Heinz Braun is going to hold off George Gonzaga and Bruno Vitorino, who's got Felix Simoes and Mike Busson for company. So it could be a drag race to the line, judging by the pace we saw from Bruno Vitorino earlier when he was going down that pit straight.
Well, and of course, Bruno is in the SR10, and Felix and Busson are in the... well, that's not accurate. It shows Felix as driving an SR8, but an SR8, but he's in an SR10.
He is. He should be in a silver.
I'll change that right now. Well, I'll get that after the race.
Well, James Berry is close to wrapping up the race here in Mugello, the first one of 2. We've got the feature one to come later, but he's going to kickstart his season in the best fashion possible. And Simon Edwards will be happy with his second place, 39 points on the board for him for finishing it. But it's the big 40 that'll go in the way of his compatriot, James Berry, who exits Bachin for the last time. And he'll sprint his way to the line to pick up the first win of Season 2 of the Battle of the Radicals in the Radical Race Series. What a job from him in 2026. Simon Edwards will come through in second place, followed by Sally Reitinen, with Heinz Braun, George Gonzaga, Bruno Vitorino, and Felix Simoes. The winner in the SR8, that is Mike Busson, who holds off Jamie Bird by 5 seconds. Bird finishes 9th and finishing second in class, with Ollie Gullickson running out the SR8 podium. And he'll also start on reverse group pole, Will Gullickson, so he has a chance to go for victory from there. We've got the likes of Nelson Moreira, Phil Glover, Robert Nobles, Emmanuel Mundika, Dominic Pavera, Patricia Gomez, who ended the race 1 let down. Likewise for Joe Lima, with Stefan Millis not starting.
Actually, we're going to need to go through a couple of these during this next race, if you'll help me with that, just to make sure that we've got them in the right categories here. Let's get the results up of... So they're not done yet. Somebody's still out there.
We're just waiting for Pavera to get over the line. And he is over the line now. And so we can run down on the first race result of the season. And it is James Barry who comes out on top with Simon Edwards in P2. Sally Reitinen making it to P3 ahead of Heinz Braun and George Gonzaga, with Felix Simoes sneaking in front of... he's finished behind Bruno Vitorino. I think it's just been a change on the timing tower at my end. Mike Busson was the winner in the SR8, followed by Jamie Bird and Ollie Gullickson, who will begin race number 2 from reverse grid pole. Nelson Moreira, Phil Glover, Robert Nobles, Emmanuel Mandika, Dominic Pavera, and then Patricia Gomez and Joe Lima were the rest of those to finish. Stefan Millis didn't take the start.
All right, while we've got this chance here, I'm going to try to sort out a couple of these drivers. Of course, nobody's on track, which makes it a little bit tougher.
Some drivers making the most of this 2-minute warm-up. It's a very short warm-up, and then we'll be underway for the second and final race of tonight. 14 laps it will be for this one, 5 more than what we had in race number 1. Just hope that Stefan Millis makes the start this time, because he did join last minute in practice, but he didn't go out on circuit, and he wasn't out on the circuit in quali either.
Let's see. Marina is in an SR10, it looks like. Be sorted here in just a second.
So whilst we're waiting for the amendment to be made do get involved in the live chat. And then we'll answer your questions during the course of tonight if you have any for us to go through. And there'll be plenty of drivers will be thinking they can do better than what they did in the first race. And so the warm-up session will be coming to its conclusion in a second. Jamie Bird is out on the circuit, you can see on screen. No, you don't. He's back in the pit lane, and so the session should transition over into the second race. That's the feature. And we'll have a rundown on the grid for the feature in the Battle of the Radicals in the Radical SR in the Radical Race Series. Ollie Gluckson on reverse group pole header Jamie Bird. And on the second row of the grid, we've got Mike Buson and Felix Samos. Bruno Vitorino and George Gonzaga make up row 3. And on the fourth row, we've got Heinz Braun and Sally Reitenen. Simon Edwards and James Barry round out the top 10. The two Brits line up next to each other. And then we've got Nelson Moreira and Phil Glover next, followed by Robin Nobles and Manuel Mandika, with Dominic Pavera, Patricia Gomez, Joe Lima and Stefan Mellis all on the grid. And we are good to go for the feature race here at Mugello. Lights off, it's go, and a terrific start from Mike Buson, I have to say, from P3 straight into the lead before Jamie Bird and Ollie Gullickson could even blink. That was superb from Buson as they head towards San Donato for the first time. Round the outside goes Jamie Bird, and there is no way that Buson was going to let him through that easily. And so Felix Samos is in third place past Gullickson. But I have to say, that was quite frankly the best start I've ever seen from Mike Buson, Jim.
That was fantastic. Yeah, he absolutely caught him sleeping there. That was great. And he's tough to pass once he gets in front of you too. He can make that old Radical pretty wide.
I can imagine so. Phil Glover jumped the start, so he'll have to serve a penalty within the next 3 laps. So that's his race heavily compromised, unfortunately. Stefan Mellis has made it into the race this time, so he'll be getting his points account opened for the campaign. And then we see Jamie Bird running in P2. And looking at where everyone has started and how many positions they've made, Dominic Pavera has made up 4 positions, up from 15th to 11th. Patricia Gomez up from 16th to 13th. And we've got the likes of Joe Lehman and Stefan Moser made up a couple of positions each. But the biggest loser of it all is Phil Glover, not only down 5 positions. Oh, is that a mistake from Buson there? I thought there was someone making a mistake, unless I'm thinking differently. But Buson's now got Bird on his tail. I thought Buson made a mistake in one of the corners that has allowed Bird to creep up behind him.
Obviously, Jamie is all over him, so he must have had a little twitch or something there. I did not see it. I was actually looking at the timing tower at the time.
And they're coming onto the pit straight for the first time. And Bird is going for it on Buson. And he's in fact got his nose ahead before they got over the line.
Oh, he's by him,
so that is Bird through into the lead. But watch out for Felix Samos in that fast charging SR10 going through on Buson at the same time. So we should start to see the SR10s really come into their zone here. But Buson's really attacking Samos. He feels like he can get back ahead of him here. But once they go back onto that pit straight, Buson just doesn't really have a leg to stand on. He's basically a sitting duck.
Yeah, he is actually. But Bird's with that battle going on behind him there, is starting to build a little bit of lead, and Mike's not giving up. Look at this.
Oh, that's a tap as well.
Oh, Samos. Oh,
he turned in it.
Ooh, he got a bad sorry. Yeah, he got a bad wiggle there on that one.
So that is Samos down at a position that hands the SR10 lead over to Bruno Vitorino. And now we've got the timing tower updated with everyone in the right classes. Bird is in the lead with Buson second. It's Vitorino ahead of Samos, Braun, Gonzaga, Edwards, Barry and Reitenen. And you have to go all the way down to find Ollie Gullickson, who was on pole, now down in 10th position.
Yep, and he's actually not classified correctly yet. He's in a 10, and I think it's still showing him in an 8. We'll get that squared away here in a second.
Well, whilst you do that, Heinz Braun has been off the circuit, and he's dropped down considerably to 13th place. And he's got Nelson Moreira right on his tail now as well. So Braun's has got a lot of work to do between now and the end of this race to rescue some points. But Bird has completed the second lap. And he's got Buson and Vitorino right behind. Just watch Vitorino on this pit straight. He could basically sail on by both Buson and Bird in a flash here. Well, he's going through on Buson now. How close will it be to Bird? Well, he's too far back. And through goes Simose, who's going to the inside of Buson. Buson will have the cornering grip, but Simose spins. He spins in front of the pack. Did everyone get through safely?
Barry's off.
Yeah, Barry had to take evasive action. I'm sure there's been other drivers involved in it. We'll have a look at it again via the replay.
Right here, let's see.
So he was on the inside there.
Oh, yeah, he just lost it.
He just lost it, yeah. And Barry had to take evasive action, so he was the only one really affected by that, really, yeah.
But it definitely affected him for sure, so cost him an off track. So there goes this extra bonus point if he would have picked it up. But
we'll go back to Simose now. He's running in 9th position after that spin.
Damn.
He's behind James Barry. Heinz Braun is in 13th after the spin he had.
Yeah, and we can go back and look at that too, just to show everybody what happened to him. Let me find it and I'll pull that right up. Here we go. It was, I don't know if he spun or if it was just an off track. Let's see. We're 3 wide right there. Oh, there was a little bump.
That was with James Barry and Simon Edwards.
Yeah. Yeah, that's 2 bulldogs to get into a fight with, huh? Actually, all 3 of them. Braun's pretty tough too. So,
yeah, and he's overheated the tyres as he was rejoining back onto the circuit.
Yeah, that threw him back there, didn't it? Speaking of Simon, let's see where he's at right now.
And there's Edwards going for it on Buson at turn 1 at San Donato. Surely Edwards will have the high ground here, and he goes through. Buson has to yield that time. But you know what Buson's like, as we've said time and time
He's like
again.
a bulldog. He doesn't give up.
He really, really refuses to give up.
Yeah, he, like I said, he's hard to pass. You know, now if you've got him clean, he's not gonna race you dirty. He'll let you by, but you know, he's gonna make it hard for you to get around him. And then he just doesn't give up. He just stays on your tail. You know.
And Pavera is in the pits now as well, presumably with some form of issue. But Buson is now staying in touch with Edwards in case Edwards decides to make a mistake somewhere. We'll see whether Edwards is able to hold on. Heinz Braun is still in 13th position as we ride on board with Mike Buson. Coming towards the Corinthau hairpin. They've seen a few drivers make mistakes here. Mellis moves in front of Lima into 10th place. Now running 3rd in the SR8s is Mellis. But you can just see Buson right on the tail of Edwards here. But he's not going to have the straight line speed. This is the issue for Buson. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Gonzaga completely swoop past him down this pit straight.
Yeah, he's close enough. Let's take a look at that. He's actually back just a little bit. This back here is heating up as Braun's trying to work his way back up. Then he's got Lima there, which we haven't really got a good gauge on Lima's speed at this point, having that incident in the first race. He's actually classified in a SR8 as well, and he is in a 10 also.
Well, he's gone through that, has Simose and Braun at the same time. Further on ahead, we saw Buson and Gonzaga swapping places on the approach to turn number 1. I did say Gonzaga would have been on the tail of Buson and swooping by him. Well, I was proven wrong that time around, but it's a matter of time before the likes of Gonzaga, Radson, Barry, Gullickson and Simose make mincemeat of Buson. But I wouldn't exactly call Buson mincemeat this time around. It's more like... Well, how would you call it?
Well, that's good.
I mean, you mentioned Bulldog earlier.
Yeah, well, he is. He's just like a, you know, well, almost, this is so wrong, I shouldn't say this. He's very much like one of those little Chihuahua dogs, actually. You know, they think that they're, you know, no matter what, they're in the fight. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how Mike is. He is just, he's just ornery and he doesn't give up. You know, we've seen him have he had just a horrific season after winning a championship, but he just stuck in there, and towards the end of that season, he managed to get it together again and found his pace, and he just doesn't quit, man.
Well, we've got our first retirement of the race. Robert Nobles is out. He's been suffering with connection issues since the start, so it's not a surprise not surprising to me that he's gone from this. But Bird is now under attack from Vitorino here, who is really smelling his prey at the moment because he's going absolutely tooth and nail to get through ahead of him at San Donato with that extra straight line speed on the SR10. But Bird isn't having any of it.
Tell you what, you have to, from what we've seen so far, clearly this field is dominated by SR10s. There's many more of them out there as we whittle through these new arrivals, but it's clearly a faster car today, and Jamie has managed to stay out front. We're 6 laps, almost halfway into this race right now, and Jamie has managed to stay out front. It's been quite impressive, to be honest with you.
Well, they're coming towards Arabiata 1 now, and there we see Jamie Bird in the lead for the time being. And there we see Simon Edwards. He'll be relatively happy with his performance so far tonight, running in 3rd place and 2nd in the SR10s. Buson in 4th. He's basically the cork in the bottle to the SR10s behind him, of Gonzaga, Wrighton and Barry and co. But now they're coming down towards Corentel. This is where Bird can really make the most of the executions through here, the chicane that follows, and then the last corner of Bachin to build that buffer for when he goes down the pit straight.
Yeah, this is, I'm not, Jamie certainly knows that I call it like I see it, and Jamie's issue, he's always been fast, even though this car is probably outclassed by the SR10s tonight. He's doing a great job with that. But you put Jamie in these spots, and sometimes he'll make an unforced error. And, seeing his growth over the seasons, when he can eliminate those minor unforced errors, he is so fast, as Simon is Simon's on the move here all of a sudden. He's by Vitorino, and it looks like he's coming.
Yeah, well, Edwards gone by Vitorino at the end of the pit straight to move up into 2nd position. Vitorino down to 3rd. Buson still sitting in 4th place ahead of Gonzaga, who hasn't been able to get by him this time around. I think the next task for Buson now is, if he knows he's not going to get by the SR10s, at least stay in the draft. Because the last thing you want is being the sitting duck on the pit straight.
Right.
When there's no car to get any form of draft off on when you going down that pit straight.
Which, he's good at that too. If you recall, going back to Bathurst last season, the SR8s were off the pace there compared to the 10s on those 2 long straightaways. But he did such a good job of staying in the draft and keeping that car competitive. Another one of those like bulldog kind of qualities about him. But he is just all up in it right here.
Yeah, well, there we see Buson looking to the outside on Vitorino before the Biondetti chicane. And they're coming towards Bachin for the 7th time in this race. We're halfway through this one already, so it has flown by again. But that's just part of the nature of this Mugello course being so fast flowing. The drivers are really enjoying the challenge of this racetrack in these radicals, no matter which spec it is. But looking at Buson, I think, is going to be swamped by Gonzaga this time around. Gonzaga is already in front before they get to the corner, and Buson has to yield.
Yeah, well, and again, he's but watch, he's not going to give up. He's going to try to get that position back.
I'm amazed that Jamie Bird has been able to hold on ahead of Simon Edwards at the moment.
He's maintained that gap, to be honest with you. I mean, he really has. It's staying about a second,
Well, they are coming down towards the back of the course. It's like Ferrari's backyard when you see these cars go through. Buson is still attacking Gonzaga here, trying to put him under pressure to get the place back. He's going to find it very difficult to do so. Patricio Gomez is in the pit lane. He's been in there for some time, so I think that's race over effectively for Patricio Gomez. We'll find out exactly what he had been up to, whilst the battle at the front is continuing to intensify.
I don't really see an incident involving Gomez. I'm just wondering if I don't really see an incident. I just see that he entered pit road.
We might have just ducked into the pit lane and called it quits, Patricio Gomez, but we won't compound his misery any further or speculate as we continue on. And then we see Booston is still within that draft of Gonzaga, which is helping stay in front of Sally Reitinen. Well, you can just see Gonzaga's able to pull away. Bird is now really under pressure here from Simon Rhodes. Well, he holds on that time around, but I've got a feeling the next time they go on the pit straight, I don't think Bird's going to be able to hold on.
Yeah, Simon's close now. He's well into Jamie's draft, so... Although Jamie's opening it back up again. Look at this. Got it back to a half a second. You know, and for those of you that follow the series, that's no small feat. You know, pulling away from Simon Edwards, that's not easy to do.
It's not. And Buson's got back through on Gonzaga, further back in 4th place. So Buson really getting his elbows out and having none of the SR10 superiority. I'm not seeing any other battles going on further down the field. They all seem to be spaced out. So it's very much what's going on at the front that's doing the talking. Bird leading Edwards, leading Vitorino and Buson. I think Edwards is very much within range here as Bird goes defensive at Corinthale. That's going to compromise his exit before they get to Biondetti. But this is the closest that Edwards has been since he's caught up to the rear of Jamie Bird. By the time they get onto this pit straight, Jim, he's going to go on by. I wonder if Bird may decide to let him go through the corner here and get into the drive, because if he allows Edwards through on the pit straight, it could open the door for Vitorino to head on through at the same time.
Yeah, and then of course, then you got Buson back there, and that is a battle in class, you know. So obviously he wants to stay as far ahead of as Buson as he can. And there goes Simon.
Is Vitorino going to head on through at the same time? He doesn't do. So we have a new race leader in Simon Edwards, the reigning SR10 champion, on his way to victory, it seems, with the way he's going about his business. And Jamie Bird will just want to do what he can to keep hold of the SR8 victory and start his season in the best way possible. It looks like Bavera has gone back into the pit lane, presumably with a drive-through for basically exceeding too many incidents or going off track too many times. And that is effectively race over for that particular driver. Buson has been passed by Barry and he's tussling with Sally Reitinen now, so you can just see Buson's resistance really breaking here.
Yeah, he's the problem is, you know, like it's so hard. I mean, these cars are seriously faster. The SR10s are seriously faster. I'm quite impressed with Jamie being able to maintain that lead as long as he did, and now currently holding on to still lead in class and overall second place.
Rivera is back on the circuit now. That driver is already a lap behind. It's, at the end of the day, if he just gets to the end and get some points, then at least that can go towards his total at the end of the season. Pop Orange is coming and saying, "Good evening, Tom and Jim." Good evening to you, sir. And Bird is doing a cracking job. He's doing a superb job in this race so far. He may have lost the lead overall to Simon Edwards, but he's still keeping in touch with him and holding Bruno Vitorino back. And that's an overtake from Sally Reitinen on Mike Buson.
Yeah, that's again, it's, you know, he is really truly a sitting duck out there, you know. And if he loses the car in front of him, then it just, you know, it just like throwing up a, you know, like a wind barrier or something. He just slows down. I have to say, I do like Sully Wrighton's new livery this season. That kind of a black and gold, dark gold. I like that.
Yeah, it's a nice livery. It's better than the other one that he had. I think it was like all blue or something like that. It wasn't anything fancy or whatever. But he is now in that black and gold livery. Here he comes. This is at Arabiata 1, and Buson goes back through on Reitinen. That's wheel-to-wheel contact. That was a little bit aggressive from Buson. I think he had the right to take it, but it wouldn't surprise me if Reitinen came back on the inside at the very next corner, which he doesn't do. Buson back ahead of Reitinen, as we've got a slowdown also for Ollie Gluckson, so he'll need to back off at some point.
Yeah, this is not the easiest course to you know, to get rid of these slowdowns without actually losing some pace. There's so much, you know, higher speed stuff here, and just depending on where you catch it. But look at Jamie.
Well, out of the last corner of Bachin come Edwards and Bird. Bird will be in the slipstream of Simon as they come down the pit straight. And you can just see Bird is not able to really close in enough. And this is the pit straight where Simon's pace can very much be unleashed. But at least Bird has kept Vitorino back, as we see Buson now.
Yeah, Reitman got back by him.
He's a little bit further away from Buson than last time, so I'd expect Reitman to just pull clear of Buson from here on in.
Maybe. Look at this. I tell you what, man, we know the difference in the speed of these two cars. That is so impressive that he is able to just come back on him like that. But Jamie is literally doing the same thing up front to Simon Edwards. I wish I had a split screen here. Look at Mike send it. Look at Mike sending it.
My goodness me.
Oh, no, that was a... Ooh.
Well, Reitman saw it. I think if Buson pulled that move off, that could have been perceived as an illegal overtake, because he would have put all four wheels over the white line if he went for the inside there.
Yeah, well, my issue was that was a very late move to block him when he swung to the outside there, but no harm, no foul. Michael throw a block on you like that too. Look at him. He's fixing to send it down on the inside.
Yeah. Well, Heinz Braun's race has got worse because he's now got a penalty which he'll have to serve within the next 3 laps.
Sure does. Oh,
so that's not good news for his race.
No, not at all. That's got to be incident limits, I guess, but...
Yeah, 15. He'll even accumulated 15 incidents. It's certainly not a jump start. It's 15 incidents for a drive-through, and then another 5 after that, and you get a drive-through again.
I wish that iRacing would enable us to actually see real incidents, real time. That would be huge, because like right here, it doesn't show anybody close to that. Yeah, that's something iRacing needs to work on.
And there we see Edwards fending off Bird. Vitorino and Gonzaga are so close as well. And also James Barry. So James Barry, the race 1 winner, is right on the tail of these with 2 laps remaining.
He is. And what a recovery, I mean, because he definitely lost some spots when he had to take that evasive action earlier in the race. But he has gotten back up here, and I cannot tell you how impressed I am with Jamie and this car tonight. This is so impressive.
Yeah. Well, he's not going to get Edwards on the straight unless Edwards makes a mistake coming out the last corner. Well, there goes Jamie, but if there's a corner where he could get it done, it's one of these where he could try and have a go at. He wasn't close that time around. He's so... I don't think there's any point going for the move at the last corner because Edwards would just stay back. And Edwards was a little bit out of shape, but gathered it all up. And this has given Bird the encouragement he needs to really, really attack on these final 5.2 kilometers.
Tell you what, Jamie got a better exit there too. I'm not that that's going to matter down the straight, but it's certainly going to enable him to stay on Simon's tail down the straight, which is hugely important. Look at Simon even trying to break the draft, so he's well aware that Jamie is all over him. Here comes Vitorino though.
Absolutely sending it. Bruno Vitorino up the inside of Jamie Bird, but Bird will have the cornering grip out of that. And Bird is just about able to hold on, but it goes in a little too deep into Loco, and he's going to be offline for turn number 3. Vitorino's right there. He'll have the straight line speed, and James Barry spins, but will stay with this battle here. Gonzaga attempts to go by Vitorino at turn 4, but wasn't able to make it. Barry drops back behind Reitman and Buson in P7. That's a bad error that from James Barry. It's very unlikely we see Barry make mistakes like that.
Very unlikely, yeah. I mean, I think he was probably pushing really hard to recover from that earlier incident, and it probably got him there. I tell you what, George Gonzaga is Jamie Bird's best friend right now because he can keep Vitorino off of Bird's tail there by pushing him a little harder.
Well, We've only got a sequence of corners to get through, and it'll be raced over for these. But will it be Simon Edwards taking the win? Most likely, because Bird is very much the buffer, which will help Edwards go over the line, considering they are in different cars to each other. But it's the man in your picture, the reigning SR10 champion, Simon Edwards, who has absolutely defied the odds again here in Mugello after starting 9th on the grid, making his way up to the front, holding off Jamie Bird, Bruno Vitorino and co. Out of the last corner he comes, and it's Simon Edwards who's going to end this round as the new championship leader. He wins in Mugello. He takes the feature race win ahead of Jamie Bird and Bruno Vitorino. George Gonzaga in 4th position and rounded out the SR10 podium. So rising in 5th had a Mike Buson, with James Burrows, Felix Samos, Ollie Gullickson and Stefan Mellis rounds out the SR8 podium.
I have to say, man, that right there was a cracking race. That was a lot of fun. And, man, Jamie and Busan really showing off that those SR8s can be competitive, super competitive.
Yeah, well, we'll see more of it at Suzuka on a track where it could favour the SR8s more than it had done here.
Agreed. I think that is a track that could potentially favor the SR8s, which will make it a lot of fun. We need to get a few more SR8s on the grid, though. Look at all these SR10s out here, man.
Yeah, it certainly was the card to be in, I would have thought, compared to the SR8s here in Mugello. But let's hope that more of those that weren't here tonight will make their return in a week's time when we go to the land of the rising sun. We're just waiting for Dominic Pavera to head over the line, and by doing so we can run down on the race result. That driver is now over the line, and so at the end of the feature race here in Mugello, it is Simon Edwards who starts his season with a win and holds off Jamie Bird and Bruno Vitorino, who finished 2nd and 3rd. In 4th position is George Gonzaga, followed by Sally Wrightson. In 5th, Mike Buson. 6th, we've got James Berry, Felix Samos, Ollie Gullickson, and Stefan Mellis round out the top 10. Heinz Braun, after his drive-through, was in P11 ahead of João Lima, Nelson Madeira, Emmanuel Mandika, Phil Glover, Dominic Pavera, and Patricia Gomez with the rest of those to finish. The only driver that did not make it to the checker flag was Robert Nobles.
I tell you what, look at those incidents real quick, would you? There was a lot of guys right on the incident limit.
So it's showing that Jamie Bird's got 15 incidents. So surely that would have meant a penalty. And the same with Mike Buson as well. Yeah,
again, I think that's probably somewhat, off just slightly, but this is always much more accurate after the race. We did see Heinz Braun get one at 16. We saw him go through with a black flag. So, yeah, like I said, with iRacing, it's close, but it's not always completely accurate. But what I take away from just seeing this real quick is that the track limits here were brutal. I mean, because a guy like Simon Edwards to have, upwards of 12 incidents, he's known for his precision. You know what I mean? Kind of shocking. So the track limits here were a lot tougher than maybe we realized. So that was that's quite entertaining. All right, Let's see who you want to bring in.
Let's have a quick word with Phil Glover on his performance tonight.
Always.
Yeah. Phil, it was a challenging evening, to say the least. But I suppose it's one of those things where some drivers may have felt a bit rusty. Were you a bit rusty?
I didn't think I was, but I obviously was on the start.
I tell you, Phil, at my age, I'm rusty every day.
Yeah. No, well, again, we seem to be picking tracks that I've never driven before. So tonight,
really?
I didn't have any chance to practice other than when I joined tonight. So, yeah, it's quite entertaining track, isn't it?
I think it is. I always found it entertaining. It's tough, but it's a fun track to drive.
Yeah, it's not too much fun when you first learn it. But
no, probably not.
Great to the brain, yeah.
But
was it a good night for you guys?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad in terms of the racing we had. It was a good battle at the front involving the SR8s and the SR10s. We saw a brilliant battle involving Jamie Bird, Simon Edwards, Bruno Vitorino, Mike Bousson, he really got his elbows out.
Yeah,
big time.
Jamie too, though. Jamie led half that race and finished a strong second in a car that was clearly not the faster car tonight. So, what did you ever
Jamie and Mike never roll over, do they?
No, they never do. No, especially Mike. I describe him as a bulldog, and that's exactly, that's kind of what he is. He's just. But overall, though, did you had a good time tonight? Enjoyed the track?
I enjoyed the driving. I was catching. I don't know who it was. When I joined, I was about 28 seconds or so behind by the time I'd served my penalty. And I managed to catch 3 or 4 people, and I could have just done with another lap, and I'd have got the person in front of me as well. But
what happened there? You just jumped a little bit, or
my foot slipped off the brake pedal.
Oh.
I hadn't got it on properly, obviously, and I crept forward, and I desperately tried not to crash into the person in front of me, but I couldn't quite get my foot back on the brake in time. Anyway, I didn't hit him, but it was then a bit frustrating from there on, I guess. My own fault.
Yeah, I mean, it happens, But good to see you enjoyed the new track and learned a new track this week. That's always good.
Yeah, I wonder if they've done. I didn't feel anything different. I don't know whether they've done anything to the Radical or not in the upgrades.
I don't think they did. No, I don't think so.
No.
What's your thought about next week, Bill?
Well, my first thought is,
I knew that was coming. That's why I asked. We're going to Suzuka next week.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I like Suzuka. At least I know it anyway.
Right.
Anyway,
So
Phil.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll let you go, Phil. Thank you very much for speaking to us, and best of luck to this campaign.
Yeah, thanks very much. Cheers, guys.
You're welcome.
And if you don't like Phil Glover, something's wrong with you.
I love him, mate.
I know, right? He's so good.
Anyway, let's get a word with the man who was arguably the driver of the round, considering the SR8's inferiority compared to the SR10s. Jamie Bird, good evening.
Hi, Tom. How's it going?
Not too bad, thank you, man. Mugello. How was it trying to fend off those SR10s on the pit straight there? Because it felt a bit like David against Goliath, or however you call it.
Yeah. I don't want to use the phrase "sitting duck" because.
Well, we used it a lot.
Oh, okay. Nice one, Jim. The BOP is what it is. Even if we weren't 40 kilos down, we would still be out-dragged by the 10s because they're just a quicker car. I could see Simon catching me slowly, and then I didn't pay any attention to who was behind me after that, and then realised Bruno had dragged back up to me and drove well as well. And then last lap I had to start hanging on to Simon, but also defend from Bruno at the same time.
And we've had a few newcomers join this evening as well. We've had those, I think George had invited over, the likes of João Lima, Nelson Moreira. We felt, it's kind of like first day at school, that type of thing. A lot to learn about this series in terms of the battles between the SR8s and the SR10s. But we didn't even have the Schutskers here this week either. So I'm just curious as to how this season's going to pan out, because I can see a lot of drivers being in the mix to not only win their own class, but to win overall the championship title.
Yeah, I think you're right, Tom. It's good to have feels like a European or international flavour to the grid now. People are going to get quicker. There are going to be a few more people that come in. Hopefully, we'll get 1 or 2 more SR8 guys coming in later on.
Yes,
but it should be interesting. Yeah.
I tell you what, though, next week should suit you pretty well. I'm not sure how you get around Suzuka, but it certainly would seem like that's a track that would suit the SR8 certainly more than this one. This is such a high speed, has so many high speed sections and high speed turns. It really wasn't built for the SR8, but I think next week suits you guys much better.
I hope so, Jim. Yeah, if we can hang on to the back of the 10s around Spoon, we've got a chance of, as long as I don't throw it off, of getting them into the Casio triangle at the end. Should be interesting. Should be interesting.
And by the way, great run tonight. I always call it like I see it. And you held on to that lead quite impressively for seven laps there, which was brilliant. And then did a fantastic job holding on to first place in class and second place overall. You pretty much ran a pretty clean race there. A few incident points, but it seems like this place has a lot tighter track limits than you realize, because there was a lot of guys that had incident points, guys that typically don't have a lot either.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Sam and James were just saying that we were both in double figures. Don't know what it is about this track, but I'm sure you quite rightly caught out my spin in race 1 as well, Jim. I hope you did.
I did, of course. To be honest, that is a prime example of, Jamie, just look how much faster you are now. You clearly were in an inferior car tonight, and you were fast enough that you literally gained back on Simon several times, where you actually potentially had a shot to maybe, try to pass him again. Maybe not, but you were certainly hanging on to him very well. And, it wasn't that long ago you didn't have that speed, but now you do, and you have started to minimize your incidents, which always come as you pick up speed. You have more incidents. That's just the nature of it. I'm really looking forward to you getting to some tracks that suit this car a little better, because I think you got something for him this season. I really do.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. Yeah, it should be good fun. Looking forward to it.
Cool. I'll let you go, Jamie. Thank you very much, and well done on your performance this evening, and best of luck at Suzuka in 7 days' time.
Cool. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Jim. Cheers, guys.
Thank you very much, Jamie. And we'll go from Jamie to James himself, James Barry, who took the very first race win of the season. James, very good race 1 win. But race 2 was a little bit more... Well, I keep saying the word challenging, but it was more of a tricky one, really, because there were 2 instances which you had to negotiate yourself around. One was over at San Donato when I think it was it Bruno Vittorino that spun first, where you had to avoid it at San Donato. It might have been someone else, but there was a spin on the last lap, which whilst you were chasing the top 4, it was at Heinz Braun. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right on that.
Yeah, no, for very challenging for sure, because in the first race, obviously, I just used my qualifying setup, which was high downforce, and it was easy sailing really. But in the second race, went with a lower downforce setup and standard gears, so I could extend the speed at the end. Oh, nice! You're showing my spin there. I can see that.
I did
standard gears. Thanks. Cheers.
It's whatever I can do. I wanted to get the name on the side of the car there. That's why
you can zoom in as well if you want. That's fine. Yeah. So at the end of the straight, had a lot of top speed, but everywhere else was a bit slower and had less downforce. So I was struggling to kind of push up to the back of people and then trying to make those decisive moves at the end of the straight. And just got caught out with that spinning car in front. So that was just unfortunate, to be honest. Then after that, just trying to close back up. It was a bit too little, too late, and I was just kind of getting desperate at the end, and that's why I spun off there.
Well, that's pretty much what I said in the broadcast, is that you were probably pushing super hard there to try to make up the ground that you had lost on that where you had to run off track to avoid that incident from Heinz Braun. So, but overall, still a good night. I mean, you finished with you got 7th place overall, but I guess 5th in class, and at a first place in the first race. So you're off to a good start. Are you planning on trying to run the full schedule this season?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so that's what 9 weeks that count. So hopefully this can be one of the drop weeks, because I don't know. Last season I got loads of points, but here we had loads of SR10s, and it's a lot more difficult in the feature race when you've got all these SR10s, because they don't have the straight line deficit that the SR8s have. So if it's going to continue to be like this, then it might be a fair bit more difficult than last season. So we'll see.
Well,
anyone else shout to James before we let you go?
Yeah, just all the guys who are running today who weren't running last season. People like Brood. Well, the thing is, I don't know. All these guys I think they have better setups now, so it's just good to see them being more competitive. So just shout out to everyone who's kind of giving it their all and having a good time in this series. It's really fun racing.
Great. Well, James, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us, and best of luck next week.
Cheers, guys. See you. Bye.
Well done indeed to James Barry. He'll be hoping to continue that form at Suzuka in 7 days' time. And we'll speak to the man who ended race 2 as the ultimate victor, but he had to work hard for it as he was stuck behind Jamie Bird for so long. Simon Edwards, good evening.
Good evening. Yeah, I did have to work hard there, didn't I?
Shout out. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, how quick was that SR8 on the pit straight that Jamie Bird was in compared to how you maybe anticipated?
Well, that's the setup I created. So I knew it'd be good. So it out accelerates the 10 up until about 250 kilometers an hour, and then it can't hold you back really. So all I needed to do was just get close enough that I've got that last few hundred meters where I'd get that extra 6 kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
I couldn't really. We tried pulling more power off, but you always get to the same top end in the 10 in short gears. It wasn't worth taking more power off because we'd have to put more weight on the 8. But it wasn't a bad balance, really. I did have to work for that.
Yeah, I'd imagine so as well, because the SR8 was quicker on the straight than I thought it would be, particularly for Mike Bousson as well. It wasn't just Jamie Bird in the SR8, which was able to hold on and completely get his elbows out. Mike Bousson was doing the same when he had the likes of George Gonzaga and I think Sally Reitinen as well was on.
Right.
He was tussling with. So I think the SR8s have done better than they expected this evening. For the season ahead, obviously we've got 12 rounds. Are you going to be around for all of them?
Towards the end, I might not be doing a couple because I've got some holiday, but certainly for the next 5 or 6 that I can remember, I'll be there. So I'll have enough with drop weeks to do a full season. Yeah.
Cool. And anyone on the shout to, Simon, before we let you go?
Let's give a shout out to some new guys.
Yes.
It looked really clean and in the first race, because normally that's where you get your new guys not really being able to understand everybody around them. But it looked really clean actually on the first race. There might have been some stuff I couldn't see at the back, but I nearly wiped.
Not that kind of stuff,
Sully
though.
out.
Not that kind of stuff. I mean, incidents, but that's going to happen. But
just not
the kind where you don't know how to race somebody and they turn in on you or whatever. Not too much of that at all. But I do have one other question for you, and I'd like to kind of do this as best we can week to week. I'm going to be here all season this year with James supposedly in a lot. We'll see how many he actually does. But I would love to get your insight on balancing these cars each week for a couple of reasons. I think it sheds a light on like the effort that Jamie put out tonight in that car. This track clearly wasn't really a track for the SR8 as much. And just just what some of your struggles were in setting these cars up. I would love to kind of make that almost like a little feature each week where we talk about briefly just what you went through to set them up.
Yeah, I can certainly do that, but I had so little time this week that I'm going to have to confess I guessed. So I did set
I love an honest man, because you could have easily bluffed your way through that.
I did run the SR8 and I did make that setup to make sure that it was competitive. So I knew it's rough pace,
right?
But I didn't do a back-to-back test that I would normally do to try and get them closer. So I guessed without running them again, if you know what I mean.
Right.
So I guessed the weight, and then I never had time to run that weight on the 8 to see if my guess was right. Normally I would do that, and that is the process I go through. I'll run both cars, and then I'll have a guess from the telemetry. I'll run them in Garage 61, which you can compare the telemetry, and just do an initial guess, and then I'll try it out. But yeah, I can give you some insight per track. I can send you some PMs.
Oh, that'd be perfect. Yeah.
And just say, why we're going to struggle at certain, like this. We would have struggled in the straight all the time. And that's why I felt actually that and maybe it was just me, I think I could have driven the 8 a little bit quicker.
Well,
than I could have
isn't
driven
that
in
the
10.
reality, though, for you? Don't you find that you
It
are
is,
better
yeah.
in the 8 than you really are in the 10?
Because I can throw the rear end of it around much more
Right.
than I can.
So
the
it suits
10.
your style, but depending on the driver, that probably goes back
That's
and
it.
forth.
And I've got to take that into account when I'm setting them up as
But
well.
I like the fact that you are just as or faster in the SR8, even though that's not the car you drive, because I think it gives a true fair assessment of both cars. Because obviously you're fast in the 8, but then you drive the 10, so you're going to give it the best, the best setup you can as well. So I really like that, and I would appreciate any information that you can give weekly. Just more insight we have into the setup that week of the car. Just obviously improves the broadcast. So
Yeah, we will do. Yeah, and I'll never diddle them out of it because I would feel guilty.
no, nobody questions that. That's plus again, they're independent of each other anyway. It's really independent class championships. It's just it's really fun to see the two cars passing each other on the track, even though they're not really battling, for overall, position. It still makes it more entertaining. But we just need to get a few more SR8 guys this season. Where'd they all go?
The 4 that were mostly German, they've just run into scheduling issues for this season. So, but I think they might be back in the future, and we'll do a recruitment drive as well. Try and get some more 8s in.
Yeah, I mean, either way, it's still fun, but it would be nice to have a little more evenly balanced field. So I'll do what I can as far as to promote that as well. But anyway, that's all. I just wanted to touch on that so we can start doing that kind of weekly and have an insight. So I appreciate you taking the extra time to do that for me.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Simon, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us. Well done on your victory in race number 2, and we'll see you next week for Suzuka.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Brilliant chat there with today's race. It was nice to get that insight, actually, Jim, which I don't think I was fully aware of that particular thing, but hopefully we'll find out more of that in the coming weeks.
Yeah, he's voiced that over the course of the last few seasons that he's actually prefers to drive or is faster in the SR8. I don't know that he prefers to drive it, but and so it really does lend itself to the best setups for both cars, because he's fast in that one, but yet he drives the SR10. So I love to get his insight on that, just to kind of give us an idea of how he had to penalize this one with weight or this one with horsepower or whatever to try to balance them. I just think it adds a little something to the broadcast if we know that,
Well, at the end of the first round of Season 2 of 2026 in the Battle of the Radicals in the Radical Race Series, Jamesbury opened his account with the race 1 win, but it's Simon Edwards who ends Mugello as the championship leader as he took the win in race number 2. Well, let's see if they can carry that into next week. Thank you very much to everyone that's been tuning in and getting involved in the live chat, particularly Steve Webb, who has been feeling unwell apparently, but let's hope he can be well enough in time for when he next races. And and best of luck to all the drivers in the coming rounds that we've got lined up for you. Suzuka is next week, so know exactly to tune in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I am Tom Cairns with Jim Cunningham, and we'll speak to you again soon when the Radical Race Series Battle of the Radicals returns. And it's good night.